Griffin now, it's up to them to respond. Urgot is still available. Yorick still on the table as well. Thresh is also open, who many consider to be the best support. Currently on 9.3, Galio open as well. Instead, we're having a Lissandra hover.
Yeah, it's going to be locked away pretty much instantly there as well. So it can be flexed into multiple roles, but in theory, it's been seeing most of the play in the mid lane and almost never move towards top side of the map. And support is something we heard whispers about, but haven't really seen happen. But the Galio priority is still there. We saw it banned by the Afreeca Freecs. And, I mean, in theory as well, Galio could be moving out of the support position, but we've seen it more predominantly down there, especially from Griffin. They do like running their interesting comps with Lehens, getting a bit more farming done and things like that, with Spell Thieves being picked up. But it's often with the Ezreal that this time they do not have access to. So Afreeca Freecs now wanting to round out their roster with just some standard power picks, especially in the Urgot. And where do they go for their final pick? God, but they're not going to do it. They're going to pick up the Braum.
About to leave the desk.
Oh no! There's going to be nothing stopping me from falling asleep while Afreeca lose this game. No! You need to stay here, LS, and help me. And also, Afreeca Freecs need to step up and utilize their power picks, because now they've got the Urgot, now they've got the Ezreal, they've got a lot of powers. Oh man, Griffin, what are we doing? We're picking up the Yasuo. And I actually love this. If they're going to go Viper Lehens, Yasuo, Galio, bottom lane. Because you've got on-demand knockups there, you've got a taunt to create space. Like, I don't mind it.
Could be Lissandra jungle. I'm throwing a curveball your way right now. That could be Lissandra jungle. All right, don't get too excited. No.
Don't get too excited, LS. Don't take your own advice here, my friend.
It could end up being Lissandra jungle, in which case the Yasuo could still definitely be mid lane, but not entirely sure.
Okay, so, well I don't know anything about Lissandra jungle. To me it sounds pretty bad, but I don't know.
Well,
she's got a lot of AoE.
Not gonna spoil anything for you in case we end up seeing it.
I'm very excited for the potential Lissandra jungle, and something that Tarzan would certainly dabble in. Is Skarn going to be banned away from Spirit as well? And look, I don't know whether that's necessarily a ban I would have thrown out there, because Spirit playing with Skarner didn't do anything at all, and so you may as well have that one again. When
you have a Lissandra and a Galio, I mean, I don't know why you're afraid of Skarner. It doesn't make any sense to be afraid of it, as your team is already designed to want to go into the opponent. So if they're going to bring you there, then thank you. More power to you. But LeBlanc and Olaf now banned away. Griffin does still have counterpick, and
there's nothing stopping them from just taking the Nocturne Galio combination here. I mean, they've got so much pile-in and lockdown to come in from both of these champions, and if you imagine, like, you special delivery a hero's entrance into the backline, and Yasuo gets to pick his poison with where he wants to go, as that's the lock-in on the Sejuani, and Cassiopeia made her way all the way through this draft. She's taken a few hits, base damage on Q being the biggest one. Miasma getting nerfed is a bit of a meme, but at least losing some damage off the Q does mean that she's not first ban status anymore, but still not representing as much power, and she's been losing more than she's been winning.
Yeah. And I do believe Griffin has actually been the executioner of her sometimes, when she has gotten through.
The Jin Air series is one that comes to mind, with Grace getting punished very hard as Sword. Think about the last pick, Yorick, and is going to lock it in. Beautiful stuff.
Well, so that is going to end up being, I believe, a Yasuo bottom lane. Or is that going to be Yorick?
Nah, it should be Yasuo with the Galio bot lane, Yorick on the top side of the map, picked into the Urgot pretty comfortably. And you've got Lissandra there for Chovy, wanting to get his roam on, wanting to get things done. And I love this composition from Griffin. I just feel like the pieces of this puzzle work together so nicely. And if you're going to go split because you don't have an AD carry, having a Yorick on your team who can just bring up the Maiden and send her down a lane if he wants to is certainly a great way to make a 4-1 composition like this work out. And 1-3-1 is also something that you can utilize relatively effectively if the Yasuo gets ahead. So Griffin with a very different take on this game in comparison to game number 1, and certainly a lot more to talk about as far as compositions this time.
Yeah, and we'll take another quick look at the comp before we jump into the game. Urgot, Sejuani, Cassiopeia, Ezreal, and Braum. They definitely they certainly have a lot of scaling available to them. And they also has massive power spikes at the 2-item mark across the board for these champions, and that's when they want to explode. And these laners, they can definitely get aggressive. They can look for solo kills and get it. But on the flip side, for Griffin, they have a little bit of a different approach to the game. All of these champions get very oppressive and scary at one item. Also, equally, they can look for some aggression inside of the laning phase. This is a completely different phase compared to game number 1, where it's a gentleman's agreement, where both teams are just going to sort of sit back and do nothing. I mean, the Nocturne might do that, but for the most part, the laner shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I feel like this is different as far as where the game state is going to be in the early game, because now it's Nocturne playing around a lot of priority in the lanes, and let's see how it goes as we're hitting Summoner's Rift for game 2. Griffin fans in full voice today as Lehens has discovered an Afreeca Freecs squad. Of course, going for an invade against the old Braum has been an age-old tale of woe for a lot of teams. And we're spotting aiming. He is going for the Frostfang to start things off. So Jelly is going to be able to get some farming on. We're going to have a Braum with a whole bunch of cash money at the beginning of this game.
This is going to be interesting for aiming. Accelerating the Braum, I wonder how effective that's going to be. He's not a champion that really changes too much depending on how many items he has.
No. He'll get tankier.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, all right. Awesome.
Hey, he might be able to build some more utility items. Might have a Knight's Vow earlier on in this game, you know?
That actually could be quite helpful for the way that Griffin wants to team fight later on. But with the teleport available on Ezreal and whatnot, I don't think that we'll end up seeing too many split push shenanigans, especially because of Freeca's blue side, so...
All right, we're going to go straight in with the Justice Punch first from Lehens. Okay, just waits it out. Does have, of course, the Aftershock. Able to keep the Galio alive for an extended period of time. Is now got Griffin. They're going to pile into this minion wave. And
aiming was actually doing a really bad job of taking minion aggro right here. He's losing a lot of HP just to the spellcasters. So this is a little bit interesting. They're getting shoved in underneath that turret really quickly and taking noticeable amounts of damage.
Yep, Jelly farming things out. It's always confusing to see, but at least someone's farming in this lane. It's not the full Frostmancy scenario, as, guys, this is something that we will be seeing after the hotfix comes in. Remember, it is just proximity to a teammate that stops that one from working out, so it's solo lane Frostmancy that's the problem in this duo lane. We may see this cropping up here and there, especially with Ezreal's being picked up. So, Sword on the top side up against Kane. What do you think about the Yorick versus the Urgot matchup? I feel like it will work okay for the Yorick, but I don't know as much as you about how these things work.
So the Yorick Urgot has been going on for a little while now in Korea for solo queue and also scrimmages. And Urgot definitely has solo kill potential on Yorick, but it's such a weird dynamic. If Yorick ends up getting ahead, Urgot can never salvage the lane, which isn't always the case for some other matchups that he can encounter. But if Urgot ends up getting ahead, Yorick still has the gank assistance that's available to him, and obviously the Maiden can certainly be a nuisance. And so it's sort of a similar dynamic with Jace in a way, except Urgot can't recover at all.
Right, okay, so it's just a little bit more do or die for the Urgot. Okay, we'll see where the Sword navigates it. At the moment, you can see Keen with a relative advantage, and we know that Keen can play these laning phases out very aggressively as, oh man, aiming, having to use the Arcane Shift to get himself out of the taunt range. And having a look at that bottom lane, I mean, Griffin was just smashing it, pushing aiming and Jelly in over and over again. Jelly doing his best to keep things farmed up underneath this turret as aiming wants to try and get harassed, but right now I haven't seen too many of these Klepto procs coming in. The Spell Thief has been denied by a lot of these wind walls from Viper. Finally, he's going to get tagged up there by aiming.
Still relatively even on gold, so at least they have that going for them. And certainly Ezreal's Kleptomancy helping out considerably.
Yeah, looking into the jungle as well, I mean, Spirit doesn't seem to have been punished quite as badly as he was on the Skarner. Of course, a lot more agency on the Sejuani a little bit earlier on. But Tarzan's just power farming and will have parity on camps with Spirit now, as Spirit's going to walk over some vision. And And Keen actually going to flash over the Dark Procession. All right, Sword. Going to get slowed down. The Purge not going to offer too much damage forward. And that was just a flash.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to... Yeah, you keep talking.
All right.
I'm not...
There's a visual bug, guys, and Keen's flash is now on cooldown. Nothing just happened up there. Yeah, look, I don't know either. I don't know either, LS, but he pressed a button, and damn, it looked cool, you know? He was chasing up, and cut the video after that, and you're like, look at this aggression from Keen. Oh, great to see.
This is really scary now, because Nocturne's going to end up hitting level 6 when Keen still will not have the flash available to him, and that's going to definitely be something that Keen's going to have to keep on his mind, and I can't see top lane, but it looks like...
Oh, we can see bottom lane as Jelly's burning down. Viper wants to get another one, but doesn't find it. Steel Tempest not there. Jelly will walk out. Another Dark Procession up top, as Sword does have teleport to get himself back into this lane, as the back is going to come through. Aiming was body blocking, just so that there weren't any stray winds of war or anything like that. As this bottom lane for the Afreeca Freecs is going to hell in a handbasket very, very quickly.
And so far,
Chovy in trouble.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that Q got nerfed, by the way, guys.
Cassiopeia is definitely a force still to be reckoned with. And normally, I mean, she does still get banned on red side occasionally. Although sometimes teams do allow her through. Griffin, historically one of the teams to allow her through, even when she was at her strongest.
Yeah, they just don't really care about going up against the Cassio, but right now...
man. I think they want to go for a flash,
yeah. Going to get in there, but Chovy turns around at exactly the right time. Keen did land the ultimate, but Chovy gets enough health back with the self-ult and has to just invest the flash. I don't know how he managed to turn in time, but he did.
Probably going to see another quick replay of it, and that's really thin timing. If that stun ends up landing, Chovy's going to go down. UCal is going to be able to convert that into at least a plate, and the whole lane turns on its head where Lissandra can never walk up to a wave again.
Yeah. I mean, UCal was already taking a lot of control in this lane, and that would have really been one of those nails in the coffin that we saw in game number 1 that Griffin were able to pull off on that top side. They recognized that the Jace was going to have priority. They did something about it early. Felt like Afreeca Freecs were trying to go for a similar play, but unfortunately, Chovy just too fast with those reactions.
And now Spirit going to be handing over the blue to UCal here.
Yep, and Vision being swept out here by the Arc. He comes in with his own control ward. There are a couple here on the top side, and Afreeca Freecs are prioritizing topside Vision, leaving this bottom lane on a bit of an island.
Yeah, and Chovy elected not to use his teleport to return to lane, so he is at about half mana, and his blue is still ways away. This is actually the opportunity for UCal to try to get mid lane priority, and during the blue buff handoff, try to make a rotation up to top lane, because Ocean Drake is the first one on the map. So regardless of if Viper and Lehens have priority, and maybe Chovy Tarzan would look to make a 4-man bottom, you can, on the flip side, try to prioritize top lane, put Yorick in the ground, and get plates there.
Yeah.
We'll see if they end up doing it with Spirit. But if I've been watching some of the games lately, I know all too well not to expect that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put money on it.
No? All right.
We're in Korea as well, so it's a little bit more difficult to put money on things just in general. As our Sword's going to come up, as you can see, we've got a bit of a visual bug here as his ultimate is not a question mark. It is, in fact, the Maiden, so we know that it exists. It's fine. As Viper
That's so weird.
Wind Wall for a bit
where
of
did they
extra value.
get that?
I think it's
graphic.
Since the patch and since you now have 2 different icons, it gets a little bit confusing in the spectator client, I believe. I believe that one. See, now that it's on cooldown, so
nope.
It was available?
No, it wasn't.
No? Okay, that was never a thing.
That was never a thing. I think that we're leaking a new champion. That was like a, who's that Pokemon?
All right. You would have thought that Silas would have got that bug first, you know?
Yeah,
Since,
that actually would have been interesting.
The button changes to about anything possible. Oh, man.
Imagine having a champion that presses R and it rolls a random ultimate. That'd be pretty cool.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Or a champion that you just roll random Qs.
We should rework Twisted Fate, you know? Make it a full Gambit type vibe, you know?
That would be really good.
Yeah,
a gambling champion.
Yeah. You have to just sit there doing slots in mid lane or something like that, throwing cards at people. Doesn't sound too bad to me. Although I'm not exactly a huge fan of gambling. Just losing money for no reason sounds like a bad move to me. But Ocean Drake going to be started up here by Griffin. They will be able to lock that one down very easily, as well as Spirit coming on over. But I don't think he's going to get here in time, and that is the Smite Fingers on point for Tarzan. They are down by 100 gold. But Griffin have been down by much larger numbers than this, and no one's been worried in the past.
And one thing to note about the Ocean Drake is that for both of these teams, it's almost useless. You can make the argument that it's a little bit more beneficial for the Ezreal and the Cassiopeia, but both of these teams, they want to go in one fell swoop. They want a wombo combo and get all their spells off, have this bloodbath of a fight. They're not interested in the effects of the Ocean Drake. And, I mean, some of the champions, they don't really need it to sustain inside of the lane, and it's not how the laning phases conduct themselves. And so for the most part, all the dragon ends up doing is forcing another one to spawn, and that's the really big key one. That's the Infernal Drake. Both of these teams really want that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I'm getting frightened about if you're an Afreeca Freecs fan is the fact that Griffin will also have that dragon spawn almost exactly when they want to fight. You mentioned the fact that this team has such incredible one-item power spikes. Well, Viper's going to be going for the Phantom Dancer, meaning that that one-item power spike got even better for the Yasuo. One of the reasons why we've been seeing it picked so much more often, but you'll have Trinity Force in for Sword. Don't need to talk about that. Warrior Enchant, pretty ridiculous. Chovy's even going to have the Proto Belt online. And just the way these champions work together, they want to get you in the river and throw buttons at you. That's exactly what they want to do. And they will have that opportunity as that Infernal Drake starts up, or they won't, and they'll just get a free Infernal Drake.
And so this is actually a little bit unfortunate for Afreeca, especially because Griffin are going to be the ones that are going to be able to maintain priority until that dragon ends up spawning. And so it's quite an unfortunate RNG predicament that I'm sure they are loving the change to dragons about.
Yeah. Well, aiming as well, I mean, he's very far behind in where his build is situated. Does have the quest completed, so can now start farming, start harassing, but this is where you start making bank, not where you start getting payoff.
Right.
So we'll see whether aiming can catch back up in that farm department now with just a Sheen in his back pocket. A bit of a blast going over there from Spirit, but isn't going to be able to affect anything here on the top side. Sword still with his flash in hand.
Spirit is ahead in levels, and I think that, well, he is in close proximity to the Herald, but yeah, okay.
Well, here's the bottom lane. Paranoia immediately goes down, and aiming is going to be soon to follow. Jelly underneath the turret gets taunted. He's got a big door there, and thankfully has a stopwatch, but look at the hens. Just hanging out under the turret, tanks it up forever. Tarzan going to pick up the aggro in the end, but still has 100 gold to deal with. Some turret plates fall in the mid lane, but that's all Afreeca Freecs are able to get back.
Yeah, and this is an excellent play, and it comes at a really good timing. And Spirit elected to go mid lane with UCal to try to pick up some plates rather than trying to solo the Herald and let UCal try to get the plates on his own. And so in doing so, Griffin is making out huge with how this game has turned out. Windwall ends up missing on the Ezreal ult. That's okay. Lehens press W.
Also, isn't going to be too worried about that one either as Tarzan moves on over. Spirit underneath this turret as well is going to get a little bit more of a donation of gold as some more plates are going to fall mid lane. The answer on the bottom side of the map is also scary. Sword going to be taking some turret plates on top side, and I just feel like taking these map trades against Griffin almost never gets you a win. It's so hard to out-macro this team because they just seem to be able to take more than you almost every single time. I told a lie, by the way. Phantom Dancer was not the choice from Viper. He goes for the new and improved Static Shiv, meaning that he wants to grab the Sterix gauge instead of the Phantom Dancer for the Lifeline passive of choice.
And just take a look at what's happening here. It's a very easy rotation down to the bottom side for Chovy and Tarzan as Spirit was on the left-hand side of the map. And there's just nothing that they can actually do to respond to this. And it was very cookie-cutter.
Yeah.
4-man onto the bottom lane. And right now, Griffin, 45 seconds almost until that Infernal Drake comes up. And
when
realistically,
these plays happen, I feel like it's almost scary how, like you say, cookie-cutter or planned, it feels like there's almost no way for you to counter it. Like, what do you do against this Griffin squad when they seem to be just on demand winning a game? Well, I don't know, LS. It's frightening. It's frightening.
Plates have now fallen. Nocturne recalling 20 seconds until the Dragon. You can see Cassiopeia, Braum, and Sejuani maybe looking to get some vision control. This would be an awful timing for UCal to recall. I doesn't really matter if he has an item, but...
The Luden's Echo completed, I guess, is an item timing, but 5 seconds for the Snake Lady to make her way towards that Dragon Pit, like you say. There's a little bit of a rough run. The rest of the team is around here, and he was matching a back timing from Chovy as well, whose Proto Belt is now online. The only question mark we have is Sword, not quite having his Trinity Force built up because he just hasn't been back to base in a while.
And so here's what ends up happening is Cassiopeia gets back into the lane, but she's behind on priority. And so even though you have the Luden's Echo, this is a battle of vision, and it's about priority and being able to restrict access. Now, fortunately for you, Cal, you can see the teammates are
Paranoia
here,
going to dive on forward. Got Hero's entrance just to try and break off this fight, and Chovy gets in there with a huge Ring of Frost, but no one's fallen down just yet, and Afreeca are still very comfortable, hence waiting for the taunt opportunity to get in there. Viper trying to take some aggro here for his team as Chovy very, very low. Tagged by the Winter's Bite, he'll be the first one to go down. As now Viper dives into the backline, they get the knock up and take down the Snake Lady. It's a trade of mid laners as Griffin are going to walk away, but that was very close.
That was extremely close, and meanwhile up in the top lane, they were having a small little battle. Where
and actually, the teleport going to get cancelled there by Keen, so Sword was able to stop him. Not sure how he cancelled that one.
Can you displace them with the Yorick Wall? Caster, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I think maybe you can.
Can you?
I hadn't actually thought about it, because I wouldn't have otherwise assumed that you could actually do anything to get anyone out of it. I thought that that wouldn't even interrupt, but...
Yeah, it would be definitely interesting, but nonetheless, I mean, Yorick...
I mean, the answer is the Urgot's still alive with a teleport on cooldown on the top side of the map. So.
Yeah. So we're taking another look at this, and it actually looked like it was going to start off a little bit rough for Griffin, and it looked like Afreeca was turning it, but then you can see UCal making a little bit of a mistake there, not min-maxing his damage. He flashes forward for the Miasma, ends up getting the kill onto Chovy, but in doing so, gets locked up by Yasuo.
That was actually really cute from Viper as well. He was keeping aiming tied up, as now we're going to be jumping back into live with another battle happening as Afreeca take control of this Infernal Drake. The Claw comes in, Chovy wants to get over that Spirit, blocks it down, but is the team fight going to go to Griffin is the question. And there's the double last breath. Instant double kill for Viper, who flashes his way out, but is still going to be taken. Spirit is going to fall as Tarzan gets that kill, and Griffin walk away with all the kills, but they don't get the Dragon.
Paranoia is still up for Tarzan, so aiming has to be really careful with his Arcane Shift. If he tries to use it offensively, he can just get whack-a-moled.
Yeah, if he presses that button, he's going to be in trouble.
Man, you're done.
There it is. Paranoia comes down instantly. LS called it, and aiming walked straight in.
Yeah, he. I guess his aim wasn't quite on point right there.
No,
with
he was
his
still aiming. Yeah. He was still aiming. He wasn't actually doing anything yet. That's the problem. He needs to change his name to Shooting.
Yeah, he just got.
Stop aiming, dude.
Shooting Star gone in an instant.
Yeah.
But now Griffin, even though they gave up the Infernal Drake, they got a lot of gold swing going their way, and they're going to need to use that in the next couple of minutes here. We'll take another quick look at this. You can see Chovy tries to go in, but there's no real way to get the steal here onto the Dragon, and it is just such a cluster in front of this Dragon Pit where Griffin, all their members are just getting AoE. Spirit flashes, Clown Bops Viper right on the head to try to bring him down right at the end there, and then aiming, getting a little bit frustrated with himself. He's trying to tell them that, you know, all right, well, I wasn't trying to tell them anything. He gets shut up by that gargoyle in the shadow real quick.
Yeah, sent to the Shadow Realm, I think is what happened just there, and I was just aiming, missing some skill shots, and then using his ability that he needed to not use, and dying. It's basically how it worked. 7 kills to 2 is going to be the scoreline now, as approximately 3,000 gold is the lead for Griffin. And Viper's just stabbing minions all over this map. I mean, you got 2 items in for Tarzan. You got close to Asterix Gauge. Coming in for Viper, who wants to be building the Infinity Edge as item number 3, and we'll have that one relatively quickly. 2-item spike for aiming is in on the Ezreal, but that's not really something that we're going to be talking about, because Sword's got the Trinity Force. He's even got the Raptor Cloak as well. Will we be seeing the ZZ Rot Portal coming in for the Yorick? Probably not. People like to sit on a Raptor Cloak for ages.
Tell me it's not Zerat Portal.
it is Zerat Portal. I was just saying it.
You know,
we're
we
building
were just
our
talking about
synergy,
this
remember?
before the cast. I actually thought it was ZZ Rot.
No.
That's what I've always. I thought, like, I think of I don't know. ZZ Rod.
Yeah.
You know, I see it. It's like
ZZ Top, you know, as we're going to have a team fight to save us from this conversation. It's just Griffin destroying the Afreeca Freecs. That's when you press all your R buttons at the right times, LS. Things just work out for Griffin.
Yeah. And, you know, those little Yorick minions, I'm so sorry to interrupt there.
The little ghouls?
Reminds me of, what is it, the Gnome World in WoW. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, Gadget Zan.
Yeah, Gadget Zan. That's what I just thought of when I'm seeing that.
Yeah, no, they look like little leper gnomes.
Yeah, they do.
Get
Maybe that's what they
thrown out.
are. Maybe Yorick's a leper gnome.
Maybe.
Maybe
He's a pretty big one.
I mean, he likes to smork.
He does.
So that could be a thing.
He's tied at the moment as the exhaust comes down, but that's a great flash to get out of the Arctic Assault as Keen really wants this kill, but they're just not going to get it. The rest of Griffin putting the pressure on elsewhere. They're going to look for some backs. We'll see whether they're going to head towards this Baron buff that has just spawned 20 minutes into this game. But at the moment, I mean, this game feels like it's once again even in a worse situation for the Afreeca Freecs than last time.
Yeah, take a look at this. I mean, they're using the Herald as a way to say, hey, we're going to take this Herald, but if you want to stop us, by all means, we'll just bring the fight to you.
That was without a last breath there as well.
They don't realize how far behind they are. I think that they're thinking that their Infernal Drake is overcompensating for their lack of ability in this game. But nonetheless, I mean, if you want to know just what Griffin's mindset is right now, look no further than the first item Guardian Angel after the Warrior Enchant for Tarzan.
Yeah.
They know our team composition is on a little bit of a clock. Yes, we have a late game Yasuo that can do stuff. Yes, Yorick does become a menace in the later stages, but we don't want to let the Ezreal and the Cassiopeia combined with the Infernal Drake just scale infinitely. We're going to take the action right now. We have Yasuo to threaten early Barons due to the invulnerability that his Windwall can grant when trying to capture it. They just want to make fireworks go off all the time. And Afreeca's job is to control the vision, go to 4 blue trinkets, deny Baron attempts. You have an Ocean Drake coming up in 15. Give that over to Griffin. It doesn't do anything for their team composition. Sit back, relax, stop pushing up waves. Where you going? I don't know. I don't think Afreeca knows either, so I'm handing it back over to you.
Well, I mean, Trovy's just up here pushing waves in over and over again. They've got a lot of vision around where this Baron is. Thankfully, if you're an Afreeca fan, they do have vision in that Baron pit. So this Ocean Drake going down, Griffin will grab their second one of the game. Would have liked that one to be an Infernal Drake, but that's not going to happen. That's going to be the next one. We're alternating. They're going Water, Fire, Water, Fire. See whether Afreeca can actually fight for that one, because I have a feeling that it's not going to be that 50-50 opportunity for Afreeca Freecs like it was the first time around. Ooh. They've just got to think about win conditions and what these compositions are good at, and Griffin likes to go to an objective, like a Baron, like a Dragon, and fight around it.
And they
right?
say,
That's
hey,
what their comp does really, really well.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now setting themselves up towards the Baron as Lehens does find his opportunity now as it's the Sejuani that's in trouble, but the backline immediately dove on as Tarzan very, very low. It's Viper that grabs that first kill. Lehens setting up for another taunt, but that's just creating space, and they get rid of the Cassiopeia, and they lose no one.
And in doing so, they get the pick off on a pretty key target. I'm surprised to see that they're not just trying to threaten Baron. Some people might say, well, hey, they don't have a lot of summoner spells available, or not summoner spells, but ultimates available to do that. Instead, they're just going to summon the Rift Herald, maybe look to try to capture the luxury top tier 2 turret for some economic bolstering.
Yep, they are going to be able to do that relatively easily. Of course, playing around Yorick, having priority on the bottom side of the map as well, being able to freely push up. Feels pretty good for Griffin, so they're not wanting to make too many over-aggressive plays where just passively they're winning the game. So I do like it. It's slightly more reserved play coming in here, but the Maiden is going to get taken out. Freecs haven't had a kill in a while, and that feels like probably the closest to getting a good thing happening that they can get at this point. 8,000 gold is going to be the lead at 23.5 minutes in. And it's just a game that has fallen away from Afreeca Freecs very, very quickly. It's like one skirmish happens and then a composition like this, how do you get back in here against Griffin? You want to be sieging against this comp. You want to be trying to fight them in situations where things are going to get hard, but instead they're fighting in the jungle and things like this happen.
Yeah, the failed flash certainly doesn't help out at all, and Ezreal, he got knocked up right there, but it didn't really matter, and it was just all too easy for Griffin to collapse upon that team of Afreeca inside of that narrow corridor. And right now, Afreeca, they don't have the ability to contest them yet. They're still waiting on Ezreal's next tier item. They're waiting on the Liandry's Torment. They're waiting on the Locket of the Iron Solari, on Sejuani. They're still trying to scale. They have 2.5 minutes until the next Infernal. Like I said earlier, swap to 4 blue trinkets if you have to. Keep defending right in front of your turrets. Never leave your base if you don't have to. Give up all sort of vision. It's not going to matter. Let your Infernals try to scale. The problem is that Griffin's almost 9,000 gold ahead, so, you know.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where Griffin just comes in and beats them with their wallet, and Afreeca has to fall over. And you can't win a game by sitting in your fountain and hoping that things are going to be okay. Trueshot Barrage is going to scout the Baron that's already been started here by Griffin, and what are the opportunities here? Spirit is going to take point. Jelly setting himself up as well, and do we get the turn? Chovy setting himself up, does have an opportunity for a flank, but now Griffin are keeping Afreeca Freecs interested, keeping them hopeful as Tarzan relatively low as Lehens has to go golden. Paranoia comes forward as well as Tarzan relatively low from the Baron fight. Knockup's coming in here as Chovy has locked up Yukal, and Yukal not even going to find the petrifying gaze. Q not going to hit there from Chovy, but finds the second one. Now Spirit in trouble. Hero's Entrance not going to get a knock up as Viper just comes in and stabs the piggy to death. Lehens doesn't care about his health bar. He's happy to die, always has been, and that's the double kill coming in for Tarzan. I don't know how he paranoias into a team with no health and still has his GA at the end.
Well, Griffin, they're definitely going to be able to secure themselves the Baron, I think, here, but they seem actually a little bit afraid because Keen swapped to Smite, but there should have been no way for him to even dare approach that pit.
Well, right now,
they're giving them a lot of respect.
About heading on over.
Yeah, they're just recalling. I think that Griffin's actually content to just go to the Infernal, and as weird as it sounds, I think this ends up being a weird win for Afreeca. And I'm going to explain why in a second, but we'll take a quick look at this team fight, and you can see aiming almost able to finish off Tarzan, get his Guardian Angel, and take down Lehens with him. Spirit just managed to skate the way as Chovy put an end to Yukal right there, aiming, being forced to flash out of the grand entrance from Lehens, and then he's brought down shortly thereafter. Tarzan managing to save his Guardian Angel, but even though that's a 4 for 0 on that side of the map, down in bottom, Keen ended up getting a kill onto Sword, and Griffin didn't achieve anything too big, and so the goal deficit remains about the same. The one thing now, though, is that Afreeca, I think they want to try to trade Infernal for Baron, and they can do that. That would certainly be a very big win. Okay, now we get our answer.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Sword took a couple of turret shots and then tries to teleport himself. And
anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, exactly. The Disdain comes in, and Fear Beyond Death is going to be able to grab that kill. So we've got another fight immediately starting here as the Paranoia going to be thrown down early. I don't know whether he can follow as there's the last breath. Viper goes golden in the end. The activation is right in the nick of time from Tarzan as he's going to join his friends. And now Afreeca are scattered. The bottom lane is dead. And now Griffin should be able to turn, grab a Baron, or just walk into the base of Griffin and win. Sorry, the base of Afreeca and win.
Griffin can't walk into their own base and win. That would
yeah, I mean, they almost can. It's almost like what Afreeca have been letting them do so far, as the Maiden's probably going to get enough work done on these turrets. Pushes her way forward.
As soon as they spawn, they win. That's what's going on here.
That's what feels like what happens, unless you've got Sandbox there getting all the priority picks. The only game that they've lost so far this season is Griffin turn off the Baron. Lehens is looking for an opportunity, still very high health. There's the knock-up, gets the taunt as well. Spirit going to be the first one to die as Viper grabs that kill, and then Yukal knocked up, stabbed to death. Double kill for the Yasuo, and Lehens, he's just everywhere, locking everyone up. And Keen just desperately wants to find a kill, but Lehens stays there, throws down the Winds of War. The knock-up comes forward, Chovy gets the kill. And now, Lehens, oh no, it just doesn't do any damage. We're used to Ezreal's doing damage with that ability. Aiming doesn't. And now the Baron is surely going to get taken down. In the meantime, the Maiden was set to work on the top side of the map and does get an inhibitor turret. So Griffin going back.
6th player.
Yep, exactly. So she gets called back to do the Baron, but otherwise she was hanging out over there.
And we'll take a look at what Afreeca was trying to accomplish. They were trying to go for a trade on the Baron for the Infernal Drake. It just doesn't matter. The gold advantage for Griffin is just way too high at this current point, and Afreeca's positioning as this fight ends up breaking out is super bad. I'm trying to think of, you know, I'm trying to be politically correct. You know, I'm
well, I mean,
myself in line.
I like the idea, right? I mean, do it while the jungler is trying to take a dragon, but unfortunately the jungler has a global ultimate and can use it to jump on a priority target as a Nocturne 7-0 and 7, who's, yeah, gonna do some damage, guys.
Well, Afreeca thought that they were going to be able to
he's in
that
the baby cage.
Oh, that's adorable.
So sad.
But it looks like he was actually.
Baby cage.
Someone needs to put Urgot on a diet. He was a
bit fat for it, wasn't he? Yeah.
Looking like a little Porky Pig, you know. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall.
Well, I mean, he must be on a diet. He's not eating very much today.
Oh man.
Oh dear. Well, he's got 1 kill on the sword. That was the only good news story, but it feels a little bit like Keen's and Elo hell at this point. He's been creating some things, but oh, there we go! From AA Troxes to ZZ Rots, we finally got it. So it picks up the ZZ Rot portal.
I love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful
Absolutely
stuff.
Magnificent out of Griffin here in game number 2.
I hope they're not Griffin. You wouldn't do that if you're this far ahead. That doesn't seem right. Is the Maiden just going to soak that True Shot Barrage like it was nothing? And Viper and Chovy get to work on the inhibitor turret on the bottom side of the map. Sword on top, and you've got a 1-2-2 where Griffin are just taking everything that they want. 15,000 gold is the lead, and this might be the last team fight in this game. Hero's entrance comes down. It's a good knock-up onto Keen, but they don't need to use last breaths on that. You've got Viper setting them up for himself as aiming in trouble. Inhibitors will now fall down as all of the kills that Griffin could ever want are happening. And now this Ezreal is looking like he doesn't need any nerfs whatsoever. Definitely a balanced champion now. As Afreeca Freecs with only aiming and spirit, watch their Nexus get 3 hit by this Griffin squad who are not getting routed today. Definitely not by the Afreeca Freecs.
Well, I mean, the score was 3-23, so I mean, it's pretty close. 3 and 2 and 3 are pretty close numbers.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, you're trying to count.
I think there's a 3 in 23.
There's a 3 in 23.
They've got something in common
than that, right?
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
there we go.
I mean, at least they got that going for them. But
oh man, there's not a whole lot more going for them though. And unfortunately, I mean, we didn't see Dread today.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Afreeca Freecs can't really play in a coordinated fashion without having Spirit on the roster. But I would have liked to have more of that early game aggression that Dread can offer with some of his other picks.
Yeah.
Seeing the Sejuani come in, seeing the Skarner is like, what meta are we actually playing in LS?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty interesting meta, but it is the 1 week meta.
Yeah,
so we'll have to see what ends up getting changed. And much like we talked about, the upside down is withheld as Griffin does go on.
And I don't think anyone had any doubts in their mind whatsoever. Maybe after the draft in game number 1, that actually, you know, there were some opportunities for the Afreeca Freecs to get behind a powerful Sivir, but as it turned out, if you pick Lulu, things don't generally go very, very well.
And I mean, the big question for me is, are we still live on Twitch? Because if this series didn't just violate TOS,
oh no,
I'm not sure what else could have.
Let me just refresh.
That was quite one-sided.
No, we're okay. We're okay. Terms of services upheld for the moment, and it does mean that we've got a very, very long time before our next series. KT going to be taking on Sandbox for our final match of the week, and our final match on this Frostmancy 9.3 no hotfix patch. Well, and, they are going to be debuting in an hour and a half.
Nice.
My God,
I am
Griffin.
looking forward to eating.
Well, I mean,
hopefully I can get more fed than Afreeca just did, at least.
Well, I mean, I think
in between the break.
I don't know whether you'll be able to
get. I could probably just breathe in and.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get as fed as Griffin, though. I mean, we're going to need a smorgasbord. It's going to have to be like a ridiculous buffet banquet for us if we're going to go the way of the Griffin. So let's instead, I mean, I'm personally on a bit of a diet, so I'm going to take the Afreeca Freecs option here and just not have as much to consume. Because, it's that was a rough series. If you're an Afreeca Freecs fan, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can shake off losses to Griffin.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the teams in the LCK are now able to understand that we're probably not going to beat Griffin.
Yeah.
So just go into this matchup hoping to learn things, understanding that there's not a whole lot of pressure on you to take a victory, but...
And then why, you know, there's always takeaways from losses. You can always learn
learn
how
that
to get better.
You should
And
probably first pick Carthus, if given the opportunity.
Exactly. See, you're already a step of the curve. I found the next job for you, Afreeca head coach.
Oh, here
Summer
we go.
Split.
Move over, I love move.
Yeah.
I got this one.
Yeah.
I need to work on my Korean, but otherwise, I think we can get there. As this is the beginning of the end for the Freecs, and it happened very, very early in this game.
Yep, and the highlights, I mean, this was a very easy four-man bottom play that really got the ball rolling for Griffin. They were forced to give up an Infernal Drake, but didn't really matter when it was going to be rewarded with Afreeca giving away all of their lives with aiming to follow suit shortly thereafter. Spirit might have been able to, again, get the Clown Bop right at the very end there, but it was all that they were going to see that game. So.
Yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem.
Yeah, and here's the Infernal, the Rift Herald fight where you look at the mini-map and not really going to pay attention to the fight because it's over in a second anyway, but there's nothing for Afreeca to do. They have a wave crashing on their top tier 1 turret. By the time they get there, it's already pushing back into the enemy. No minion wave in mid, no other objective to really do, and so they're posturing around and they get baited into a fight, and this actually looked like maybe the closest chance they would have to try to bring down Griffin. It looked like aiming for a second there was going to be able to take down Tarzan with Lehens as well, but Chovy manhandling you can in the back, and in the end there, aiming just goes down. And even though Keen was able to find a solo kill onto Sword, it just didn't quite matter.
No, and I mean, this was just cancelling a teleport after his teleport was already cancelled, so it doesn't actually have any relevance in the team fight. And as you can see, during this time, Wall Sword was getting Fear Beyond Death. He isn't actually able to help anything meaningful, so the Freecs will fall down in the end. I do want to mention Chovy's sidestep of the Petrifying Gaze.
Do you want to mention it?
Was
Go ahead.
just despicable.
Right.
It was very similar to, do you remember the Ribbon sidestep from Faker on the Petrifying Gaze in one of his mid lane Ribbon games that was
Ribbon
almost the most
in front of mid-tier 2 turret.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite plays of all time. It was very similar. The movement that Chovy went for there, he's probably seen that play before, yeah, that was the Urgot in the baby cage.
Well, taking a look at some more of these highlights, it's almost like you're watching a montage video anytime the Griffin ends up playing.
Yeah.
Everything just sort of falls right into place.
And they've got a lot of really fun R buttons this time around, so it felt like this game was a lot more exciting than game number 1, which was a Freecs doing nothing and then Griffin walking away with another W. This one was Griffin having a whole lot of fun.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Definitely getting their damage numbers back up
Uh-huh.
with these type of team compositions. I think that they're a little unsatisfied with their current standing.
Well, when you've got the support on the side of Griffin doing double the damage of the jungle of the Afreeca Freecs, you know things have certainly hit an all-time low. Doing 4 times the damage of his lane opponent.
Carthus would have just pressed R and done more than that, so,
yeah.
You know. Better luck next time. I guess it's kind of hard to locate him in the Korean client, maybe.
We have to remember that Spirit did 2.2k damage in game number 1, so he's in fact doubled.
He did double
what he did last time, and we've got to look at the positives. You have to look at the improvements, and sometimes they're very few and far between. And remember, we've got our LCK team that has to look for highlights of the previous series. And so now someone has the task of finding highlights for the Afreeca Freecs from this series. And it's really tough.
Someone's getting fired.
And it's real scary.
We're about to check out who would be the MVP in just a second here.
I have a feeling.
Oh
wow, Chovy's gonna get it. 4-1 and 16. So that's a lot of kill contribution, but there was a certain Nocturne on this team that did very, very well this game.
The Nocturne was fantastic, as well as the Galio. I actually thought that Lehens would be the one that would end up getting it. I think that they're valuing the sidestep quite a lot. Definitely a fan of the footwork.
We get to see it again, though. So
yeah, here it is. Bottom, yep. And he just looks to the left. He says, you know what, I'm not interested. So, confirmed. Frozen Tomb Ladies not interested in Medusa lookalikes.
Nope, not happening. And actually, he's been pretty good at dispatching with Cassiopeias. This is another one that Griffin have put in the ground.
Snakes are warm-blooded, right?
No, they're cold-blooded.
Are they?
They're reptiles. And you're talking to an Australian. You chose the right guy to talk to when it comes to snakes, because we have a lot of them in our country.
They have like the heat lamps, though.
That's because they're cold-blooded.
What I meant is that they like heat.
Oh, right, yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do. They're cold-blooded, but they like
I'm American, after all.
Let's throw it over to Jason.
Thank you very much, guys. This will be another solo MVP interview with Chovy here. How do you feel right now?
2대0 경기에서 깔끔하게 이긴 것 같아서
It was a clean 2-0 victory, so I'm really happy.
단독 MVP 받았는데
And solo MVP?
이 세트는 다른 팀원들이 더
Well,
잘해준 것
actually, I
같은데
think game
받아서
2,
좀 눈치
other teammates deserves this. So I'm not really happy with that.
먼저 뱀픽 단계부터 얘기를 해볼 텐데
Let's move on to game 1, especially the draft. You just blind picked Zoe, or just first picked it.
제가 조이 선픽 나가서 라인전 안 질 거라고 생각하고 있었고
I thought that first picking Zoe has no risk of losing any lane. And also other teammates were wanting to kind of see what the compositions of the Afreeca Freecs are and kind of counter pick it, so I was the one going for the blind pick. Chovi, your record on Zoe is 4-0. Does your team prefer your Zoe?
선수들은
Well, the players, they're like Zoe again, but I think CB Max definitely likes it.
네, 자 그리고 상대가 스카너의 또 11을
Afreeca played Skarner and Sivir Lulu composition. What's your comments about their draft?
어떻게 풀다기보다는 그냥 게임을 유리한 상황으로
For me,
끌고 오는 게
I just wanted to keep the game in a lead.
좀 풀린 것 같아서
And I think it did go as I planned, so yeah, it was not bad. And Luhyun was roaming a lot on Alista, right?
다녔었어요.
Did he? Really?
이것도 다시 보기로. 네.
I hope we can go through the replays.
세트에서는 초비 선수의 엄청난 솔로킬 장면이 나왔죠.
And there was this amazing solo kill in the mid lane. Let's check out the clip together.
네, 이 장면 설명 좀 부탁드려요.
So, what was going on over here?
집 가는 거 그냥 한번 끊고 싶어서 때려봤는데.
Well, I just wanted to stop her base.
시비르가 다른 거에 신경 쓰고 있었는지.
But I think she was kind of zoning
막은 줄
out,
알았는데 안
or
막힌 그 모션이
I don't know. She
뜨더라고요.
wasn't really concentrating at that moment, so she didn't spell shoot my slip his trouble bubbles. So I was able to use my flash and solo kill her. Is there any tips for other solo kill players to kind of, for those who want to replicate those plays?
상대가 집을 가기 직전까지
If the opponents are basing, you have to wait till the last second and just do it. Sounds really clean and simple, but it will be really tough for the players. And let's move on to game 2. Watching Griffin's series, you feel like game 1 is always very macro-wise really good, but game 2 is more about very aggressive and a lot of actions and kills. What kind of feedbacks do you guys have before game 2, usually? Nothing really special. I don't really change from game 1 to game 2. Maybe other players get more used to the stage for going into the game 2, and maybe that's why we're playing a little bit differently. You guys went with Nocturne, Garlia, and Yasuo. What kind of feedbacks or talk went back and forth during the pick and bans? We just locked in every champions that we wanted to play.
자, 초비 선수는 리산드라로 오늘
So
정말
you played with Sandra.
세트에 카시를 잡는
You were
모습이었어요.
really
옴짝달싹
punishing
못하게
Cassiopeia a
만들었는데
lot.
특별히 카시를 노린 이유가 있을까요?
Why was that?
카시가 생존기가 없기 때문에.
Well, Cassiopeia has no dash. And also, if she survives long during the team fights, it's really tricky to play against it. So that was the main focus of my play today. During the Baron team fight, you were actually just 1v1 with Yukko in the very downside. Same, yeah. I told my teammates that if whenever I see Cassiopeia, I'm just gonna go in. And when you turn the lights off, I saw Cassiopeia and I knew she was all over spells were down, and I kind of over farmed her, so I just wanted to go in and solo kill her. The bot laners, they both with Targon's the relic shield together. Well, I actually didn't know. I don't really pay much attention to my bot laners. Well, maybe they can earn more money and kind of stay in lane longer with their extra HP. Before wrapping up, CB Max previously mentioned that Chobi, back in the days, you were really bad at League of Legends just with good mechanics. Is there any comments about his comments? Backwards? Well, back in the days,
개인 화면만 보고 미니맵은 눈에 안 들어오는
I didn't really see the mini maps and take care about other laners. So I kind of agree with him.
상황에서만 잘하다 보니까.
야, 근데 그렇게 솔랭에서 잘 나가셨다는 것도
Well, it's really
대단하시고요.
surprising that you were still so good at solo queues and ladders.
되게
Did you
많은
learn
걸
a lot from CBMX?
네.
Yes, I did learn a lot from him.
자, 오늘도 승리 축하드리고요. 그리핀 이제 다음
Griffin.
경기 남았습니다. 9연승이에요. 다음
You
경기.
guys will be on a 9 games winning streak if you guys take down the upcoming series.
다음 경기 잘 마무리할 수 있게
I'm gonna
좋은
make sure
경기력으로
to
다시
perform
찾아뵙겠습니다.
with consistent form to make sure to pick up another victory next time.
감사합니다.
So this will be the end of the interview with Chovy, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters.
Thank you very much, Ji-sun, and it's great to hear from Chovy there as well. And if you haven't actually read it, there's a recent interview with CVMax that has been translated as well, where you get a little bit more insight into his mindset. And the guy is crazy in the best possible way. So it's always interesting hearing how he views League of Legends. But like you say, we do have the situation righting itself. LS.
Yep.
Plus 15,
Down.
negative 15, everything's in balance once again.
Oh no, wait a minute, hold on. Sandbox might lose then if it's gonna be a 6-2 and 2-6.
Oh no!
Oh no.
So do we need to... We need
KT.
Sandbox to be 0-2.
Yeah, because
by
that'll
KT.
put Hanwha Life in KT 3-5, 5-3. This is it.
All right.
I don't know what's about. I think I just spoiled it.
I think maybe you did, because
I
I mean, it's all about making sure the standings are as balanced as possible.
Oh.
Otherwise, what are we doing here, really? Well,
You know,
what are we doing here is a weird question, because we've got a lot of time to do whatever the heck we want, because Griffin tends to win extraordinarily quickly. So guys, it will be about an hour and 15, hour and 20 or something like that, and then